Hey kids, welcome back to our last week of the pineapple story. I hope you've been listening along and have been enjoying the story. I thought it was a kind of a fun story when I read it. Good reminder, not just fun, but also kind of like, ooh, good reminder about how we should be living as Christians. We talked about Mr. Missionary John Bill. We don't know his name, so we've been making up names for him. We called him Mr. John the first week, and last week we called him Mr. Phil. We learned about how he wanted some pineapples in Papua New Guinea, and so he planted some. He had trouble with the people living around stealing them, and he had all trouble with anger, being really upset at those people. And last week we talked about how he decided, I'm just going to give these pineapples to the Lord, and if the Lord wants me to eat any of them, I'll be really excited, but if he doesn't, whatever, they're his. So I'm not going to be angry about them anymore. And the people who lived around him started asking him, they started noticing, he's not angry when we take his pineapple. What's going on? And so he told them, oh, it's because they're not mine anymore. I gave them away. And they said, who did he give the pineapples to? Whose pineapples are we stealing? And that's where we left it last week. So this week we're going to just have a short end of the story and find out what happened. So the missionary told the people who lived around, I've given my pineapples to God. And they said, that's strange. Doesn't God have any pineapples where he lives? Why are you giving him these pineapples? And the missionary said, well, I don't know if he has any pineapples or not, but I'm giving these ones to him anyway, so these ones are his. So the people went back to the village and they said, do you know whose pineapples we're stealing? We're stealing God's pineapples. Uh-oh, they all started getting a little bit worried. They came back and they said, Tuwan, which means foreigner, that's what they called him, you should not have given these pineapples to God. Why don't you go get them back? We don't want you to have given them to God because we think that God's gonna not send rain and things. He's not gonna protect us if we're stealing his pineapples. The people were afraid of God a little bit. They weren't afraid of the missionary, but they'd heard him talk about God enough that they were kind of like, ooh, I don't think we should be stealing something that belongs to God. So as the pineapples started to get ripe, the people came to the missionary and they told him, Tuwan, your pineapples are ripe. And he said, well, they're not mine. Remember, they're God's pineapples. God's pineapples are getting ripe. And they told him, well, they're gonna rot if you don't pick them, so you should pick and eat some. So he said, okay, let's go get some pineapples. So he had some pineapples. He gave some pineapples to the people and they all had some. And the missionary sat down to eat with his family and he said, Lord, we're eating your pineapples and I thank you for letting us eat some of them and giving these to us. All those years, the people he'd been living around trying to minister had been watching him and listening to what he said, but they realized that the things he said didn't match up very well with the things that he did and the way that he treated other people. But now they were realizing that he had changed and they were starting to change too. And many of those people decided to become Christians around this time. When the missionary decided, I'm going to stop fighting for what I think is mine, I'm just going to give it to God and let him do what he wants with it, and I don't have to get angry about it now because it belongs to him. It helped him not be so angry, but it also helped the other people see, wow, there's something real going on here, and I think I want to get in on that too. And many of them decided to become Christians. A couple years later, the missionary's son was very sick, and the doctor even thought he might die, and the missionary, of course, was very sad and concerned about him and was praying for God to heal him. And he came to the same point. He told God, you know what, God, I need to understand that my son is yours. He is yours before he's mine, and I just need you to do the thing that you think is right. Whether you decide it's time for him to go to heaven right now, or if you want him to stay here with us a little bit longer, he's yours, and I'm going to accept whatever you decide. Now, the missionary's son did end up getting better, but this was a principle that really changed his life when he started realizing the things that I think I own, or the things I have, like my family or my my vegetable garden or whatever it might be. It's not really mine, it's God's. It really changed his life, and it changed the life of the people that he was trying to minister to. One day he was fixing a chair for one of the people who lived there, and he told God, God, I feel like I should be translating the Bible, and I should be, doing missionary stuff, but if you want me to fix furniture for you, that's fine. I can do that too. My time is yours, so I'll do the thing you want me to do. And the people noticed that his attitude was so much better, and they said to each other, Tuman has become a Christian too. He tells us to love each other, and now he's starting to love us. He clearly has become a Christian. So one day he was fixing this chair, and one of the people there said, oh, here, let me help you hold this while you fix it. And so they finished the job, and then the missionary said, okay, are you going to ask me for some payment? And the man said, no, remember you helped me fix my shovel before, so I'm fine. I helped you fix your chair. You helped me fix my shovel. It's fine. You don't need to pay me. And the missionary thought, this is the first time they've ever helped me with any work, and they didn't want to get paid, so this is impressive. They noticed a change in me, the missionary thought, and they're really starting to change too. The Lord is changing their hearts as well. He helped them. God helped the missionary to understand that he needed to give his possessions back to God, and this was helping the natives too. So maybe you think, well, that was a good story, but I don't really have any pineapples, so I don't see how this applies to me because I don't grow pineapples and there are no people around stealing them. But we have some stuff that we like to think belongs to us, and we get really upset if people try to take it or it doesn't go the way we think. Some of these things maybe would be more for adults, but maybe money or friends, those are my friends. Or what about who gets to decide what you're gonna do, or things that you do own, possessions, maybe toys or clothes or furniture that you really like, and you feel like that other person keeps taking it or using it and I don't want them to, and it's making me so angry. Maybe it's food. When I was telling this, I just started to think about, how some people like to share their food? I'm not one of those people. If you ever ask me, Miss Lisa, can I have some of your candy bar? I might share, but it's not going to be because I want to. Probably be because I'd feel bad if I didn't, but I don't like sharing my food that I'm eating. I like people to get their own food and eat their own food. And you might not know this, but Pastor Victor likes to share other people's food. So sometimes he wants to have a bite of my sandwich or my cookie or whatever, and I don't like to share it with him. Maybe that's like you. Maybe there's something like that you're just like, no, it's mine. You need to get your own. Whatever it is, we need to think about what our pineapple garden is. Pineapple garden, whatever thing that we think is ours and we have a right to it, and nobody should take this away, and if they do, I'm going to be angry. Whatever that is, this book presents some steps that can help us when we find ourselves in that situation. So the first step is to think about what it is that makes you angry. In the missionary's case, it was the people were taking his pineapples. Maybe in your case, you think your parents don't respect your opinion, and so that makes you really upset. Or maybe your friends don't do the thing that you want to do, and I know right now a lot of us aren't able to get together with our friends, but thinking back, or maybe your siblings or whatever it is, maybe they're not listening to my ideas. I want them to listen to me. Or maybe it's even something angry with God because he didn't give you something, health or money or an ability that you really wish that you had. Whatever makes you angry, think about that. And then think about, do I have some rights? Some things that I feel like somebody owes me that aren't happening? Like maybe the missionary, in the missionary's case, he thought he had a right to eat his own pineapples and not have them stolen. So this is related to the first one. Think about what makes you angry and ask yourself, is this like a right that I feel like I have the right to this and people aren't abiding by my rights? Think about what those are. And then number 3, give your rights to God. And this is something that's not always easy to do because we like to keep control of our own stuff, don't we? But when we can say, whatever rights I have, I'm going to just turn those over to God and let God be the one who needs to deal with it. It's a lot easier when I'm not the one responsible for whatever. If somebody gives you a job and they say, I'm going to do this for you, or I want you to do this for me, but I'm the one who's going to make sure that it really happens, then it kind of makes us feel not as worried about it because we know, well, I just have to do what he told me to do. I'm not responsible for, how it all turns out in the end. And if we can do that with what we think are our rights or the things that we think somebody should give me or somebody should not take away from me, if we can give that stuff to God, then sometimes he gives them back to us, loans them to us, or lets us use them. The Bible talks about being a steward. We've talked about this in junior church class before, which means taking care of something for someone else. And sometimes God says, thank you for giving me the ownership of that right, but I want you to take care of it for me. And sometimes it's something that it wasn't good for us in the first place, and he does take it away. We don't always understand his reasons, but we know he's God and he's good and we can trust him. But the third step was to transfer your rights to God. The fourth step is decide that you will thank God whatever happens. Sometimes we think, well, this is awesome. I'll just give it to God and then he'll do what I want him to do with it. I can kind of manipulate God or make him do what I wanted him to do anyway. I'll just be sneaky and make myself sound spiritual. Well, that's not always the way it turns out. But if we can decide, God, I'm going to say thank you for making a good choice, even if it's not the choice that I hope you're going to make, it will help us. And then the next time that you get angry, use that as sort of like an alarm. Have you ever heard a car alarm go off in the parking lot? Maybe it's your car. You're trying to put your groceries in the car after shopping and you hit the wrong button on the keys and it goes whoop, 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 whoop. And you're looking around and you're trying to hit the button and whoop, whoop. It's very embarrassing. But use the next time you get angry as kind of like an alarm system going off to let you know, are you trying to take back that right that you gave to God? Are you trying to undo the transferring of your rights to him that you did? If we can follow these steps, and these steps aren't necessarily like the Bible doesn't lay out 5 steps, but they're good suggestions and good reminders to us about how the things that we think that we own and we have rights over really are God's anyway. And so when we give them to God, it's not like it wasn't God's, but now it is. Mostly we're just talking about our own attitude. If we can remember that it belongs to God and that he's going to do a lot better job of taking care of it than we will, then it will help us with our attitude, and it may change your life, and it may change people's lives around you. Maybe if I would learn to let Pastor Victor have a bite of my sandwich, it could change my life. Probably change his life because he'd get more sandwich bites. But probably change my life too if I could learn how to do that. So I'm going to work on that. You think about whatever it is that you struggle with getting angry about or not wanting to do with your rights or your possessions or whatever it is. And just remind yourself, I'm going to give that to God, and then whatever God decides to do with it, that's going to be fine. And the next time I get angry about it, I'm going to let that be a reminder to me that I'm thinking the wrong way about it, and I need to remember that it belongs to God. I hope you kids have a great week. My family's on vacation this week, so we won't see you if you're at the services, but we'll hope to see you next week. And hope you guys are doing well and enjoying the summer. Again, as always, if you comment on Facebook, not on YouTube, but on Facebook with your name, saying that you're checking in after watching this video, will enter you to win a prize. Talk to you later. Have a good one.